Alright folks, it has been exactly 9 days since I finished making what's called the wort, which would be just the beer before it's fermented. So there it is after 9 days, so I'll show you what it looks like inside. So you can see we've got what looks like a crud ring, so this is called a kreuzen ring. And this is just kind of dried malt, dead yeast, stuff like that. You might notice, so I've got a bit of white stuff floating around. That's fairly normal. I've seen that in a lot of pictures actually. It's just probably some mold or something like that. I'm not going to take the beer from this top. I'm going to be siphoning it from lower down. So if you look at the very bottom, you'll see a bunch of debris has gathered. Hopefully you can see that white layer in there. So that would be all the dead yeast and things like that that have fallen out of solution. So what I want to do basically is collect the beer in between using a siphon. So I'm going to be so I'll show you. I've also got these bottles. So basically I've soaked these in sanitizer and then rinsed them with just the hottest water I could possibly use. I did the same thing with this bucket. This time though, unfortunately, I couldn't boil the water just because it would take forever to boil enough water to rinse these out. So I just turned the tap on as hot as I possibly could and just rinsed them under that to get rid of all the iodine solution that I used. And then finally over here I've got my hose. So this is a siphoning hose ready to go. So again, I've run sanitizing solution through this and then rinsed it with boiling hot water. And I've also rinsed the edges as well in boiling hot water just to make sure that these parts are nice and clean, because that's going to be in the beer and this part's going to be going into the bottle. This part can sit on the chair because this outside piece isn't going to touch anything that's going to come into contact with my beer. So what I'm going to do is fill that hose with water and get a siphon going and siphon the liquid from this jar here into this bucket, and then I'll be able to mix that with a sugar solution that I prepared earlier. So this is just 3/8 of a cup of sugar mixed with a little more than a cup of water, and I boiled this for 5 minutes to make sure that it's nice and clean. So I'm going to siphon that and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. Okay, I needed all my concentration in both my hands to get the siphon going, but so now I've got it in there. You can see the beer's flowing up through and into my bucket. So the smell is really good, and that's a good sign. And it also doesn't look like I'm getting too much debris, which is also good. So I'm going to shut this off so I can make sure I focus. I want to make sure I don't disturb very much of this sediment because I don't want that going into my bucket. Okay, so all the beer, or all the to-be beer has been moved out of this main container. So you can see that I've left a little bit. That's just the sediment. I didn't want to collect that. And so I've put it into that pail, as you saw, and then I put it into bottles. You have to excuse the noise. Someone's using a vacuum. Alright, so here's what it looks like now that it's been bottled. So I basically just did the same thing I did when putting it into the bucket. And after it was in the bucket, I added that sugar water that I showed you before. So that's it. I'm going to let this sit for 2 weeks, and hopefully it'll be good. And I tasted a bit of the runoff, some of the extra, and it tasted just like kind of flat beer, so that's a good sign. So we'll let this sit, again, relatively in darkness and kind of a cool temperature, but not too cold, for 2 weeks. And then after 2 weeks I can put them in the fridge and chill them down so I can drink them. Alright, well, it's been 2 long weeks, but we're finally ready for the best part, which is tasting the beer. So I put this into the fridge earlier today. It's nice and cold now. So we're going to open it up. We should hear like a light psst noise as it's uncapped. That'll mean that it's properly carbonated. So let's listen for that. Tough to open. Yep, I heard the noise. I don't know if you heard it on camera. So let's pour it out and see how it tastes. So it's got a nice color to it. You can see there's a bit of sediment on the bottom there. Let's see if I can show you that. Don't know if you can see. So we don't want to pour too much sediment into the bottle, but we don't want to leave any beer in there either. Alright, there you go. So you can see it's got a nice head on it. Color looks pretty good, but let's taste it and see how it is first before passing any judgment. So it smells really good. We'll see how it tastes. It tastes fantastic as well. So I wish you the best of luck on your home brewing projects. I hope this was a helpful tutorial, and cheers.